Welcome everyone, welcome. This evening is amazing. We're here with the AI Investor. I'm very excited to be here tonight, guys. It's today, 28th of April of 2026, and a lot is happening in the world, a lot of uncertainty. I will welcome you everyone. Everyone is just coming in. I can see everyone from, wow, all parts of Australia, Adelaide, Perth. We have Melbourne, Sydney. Who else? Oh, Queensland, of course. And Cairns, Darwin. Wow, we have people from everywhere. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're here tonight to explore a lot about AI, investment, tax minimization, debt reduction strategies. A lot will be happening here tonight. So I would like to welcome, just put your hands up or comment down below in this chat just to see where we're at. How are you feeling tonight? Are you excited? Are you fearful? How do you feel tonight? Send us just that comment. I can see a few people already commenting. This is amazing. I feel the energy. The room is full of energy. So we will start with obviously our mission. What are we here today for? And in overall, as an overall, we want you to be more knowledgeable, because you being more knowledgeable, you'll be wealthier. And this is all it's all about. At JDL, you just do life, you become better every day. So we will raise your financial intelligence. And nowadays, we live in a world where you have fearful people and the ones who see the opportunity. And we are the team where we see opportunity. Before we go ahead, I want to obviously introduce myself. I'm the host, I'm Diogo, and I'll be here tonight with you all night long. We'll take a while here. A lot of positivity, and we have our guest speaker, Julio de Laffitte. And before we go into some details, this man, he has been around for a while. Wait for it, because once you see the image, probably you know him already, obviously, but this man has been just doing this that we will be talking tonight for 30 years. I was 5 years old when this man started. I was 5 years old. I was 5 years old. He was already buying a property for $39,000. Imagine that, $39,000. That's just a holiday nowadays with my wife and my little daughter. Julio, welcome tonight.
Oh, thank you, Diogo.
Welcome.
It's very good to be here. Thank you for putting all of this together. It is great to be a guest here, and we have some amazing conversations to have tonight.
Perfect. Man, before we even start, just to warm up and see how powerful this conversation will be, 10 years ago, nobody was talking about any AI, right? People were actually just partying a lot more. And nowadays, actually, the generations are shifting. They're not partying anymore. And everybody is going to health and wealth, which is great.
Yes.
It's all about us.
Yes.
And 10 years ago, you were already working on AI.
Yes.
Why? How did you see that? How did it happen?
The conversation back then used to be called machine learning, right? And so basically we had here in-house 19 brokers. And we started noticing how much of what they did was very repetitive. So we started inquiring, if it's done over and over again, can a machine do it? So basically then we already had teams of engineers coming through and some software designers to say, if something is done all the time, multiple times by different people, let's get the machine to do it. And we started to then digging into some of the research that Google was already doing, very early days in Facebook, machine learning, AI, and we became aware of some of those conversations. And once Pandora box was open, we just started looking into it and got so interested that I actually talked about it at Parliament and our future.
Alrighty, guys, before we even continue, I'd like to play a video for you. Very interesting. Obviously, you were invited multiple times for the Parliament. So let's go, let's play it.
The whole conversation about being here this morning is very simple. Could you imagine what happened, and I'm going to talk some more about this, to Uber and the taxi industry, what happened to the accountants? Because it was like, there was no Uber, and then there was Uber, and then no one took notice, and then there was no more taxis. Well, they're still there, right? They're still there. But what was the value of a tax plate, right? Before Uber came along, it's $500,000 for a license. What's the value of it tonight? These are incredible conversations. And we are working with accountants across Australia, not about accounting in the future, but accounting in the future of the future in the now. I want you to imagine, right, a software that has the ability to look at 100,000 data points simultaneously. And that's not in the future. We have it tonight. It will be exactly what I have just described. Analyze the traffic of financial data, predict the best route, call all the inefficiencies, and put forward appropriate adjustments. While doing it all, it will create the entire file notes, help the humans with the strategy, and guess what? Never print an uncompliant plan. What about that?
Welcome back, guys. Amazing framing. I love the way you talked about it. Let's dive deep a little bit more into this. How did that happen? And explain me more about it.
See, so you see the transitions as we go into machine learning, and then, as I told you, we open Pandora's box and start looking into that. And given the work of JDL, we have created more than 2,400 multimillionaires. This is not marketing. This is like reality. And we're known. We're known. Like the things that we are doing now, that many other companies copy our work, right? And I want more companies to copy our work, because the more Australians become prosperous, a wealthy nation needs wealthy individuals, right? But when I was in Parliament, what was happening is the conversation that people need to have better conversations with their accountant. In order to do so, they need to do the numbers. So it creates a false loop where most people are going to their accountant, right? They want prosperity conversations, but they spend 90% of the time talking about crossing the T's and dotting the I's and being compliant with the ATO rules, right? And so it's always this lagging. So what happened was, when I was invited, right, at Parliament, I said to the ministers that invited me, I would like to have 100 accountants as guests in the house. And 30 accountants came from all over Australia just to be there on that day. And when we were addressing the Parliament in New South Wales, talking about prosperity of our countries and so on, first and foremost, friend, I want people to have a software, not an AI outside of them, artificial intelligence inside of them, but prosperity intelligence inside of them, right? So the software for you to prosper has to be inside of you. And it simply happens the moment you say, how rich do you want to be? How rich do you want to be? It's a serious conversation. But people don't have that piece. They don't have that conversation, right? So when you go to Parliament and we start talking about prosperity, performance, and creating a nation where people can come and prosper, right? I could see a mile away that AI was going to be here. For most companies now, AI is in their future. They're still dialoguing, they're still thinking, they're still paying people now, and they're having debates about, is it Google, is it Claude, what is it? But for you and me, right, when we sit inside of a JDL spaceship, AI is in our past. We've been using it, right, for a while now, and we give our AI to accountants across Australia. So any person, you that are watching this tonight, coming here, you understand 10 years ago, we were having discourses at Parliament. Now we have it at your disposal. Not only that, Diogo, the whole mission, when you started this conversation with our mission, is to empower people to make better decisions. Again, there's no promotion for the conversation. We put out this book called Is Your Accountant an Idiot? Please understand, this is not a statement. It's a question mark. Why did I write this book? I want to empower people to do two things. To tap into the AI. The AI has no dog in the game you call your life. The AI doesn't know who are you. But the idea is, if you had a software that says, hey, listen, I have access to over 5,000 clients. This company that you are plugging in right now has created 2,400 multimillionaires. There has to be steps. There has to be a internal conversation that you ought to have. Can we frame it? Can we give you a step-by-step to look into your numbers, right? Without any fears, and say, where are my anomalies? Where am I, not executing where I could? So 2 things. These are words to help people to have better conversation about their numbers, right? And I want people to work closely with their accountants. So what you see in this dialogue, we talk about AI, people go into fear, even what AI means.
Cool.
No, man. In the book itself, we have a very straight conversation. You want to summarize this book? It's 2 things. Call your accountant today and say these 3 things to your accountant. I love you, forgive me, double my fees. Whoa, Julio, double my fees? What are you talking about? So now we're putting all those sort of things together, Diogo. I get invited to Parliament to speak about the future of the economy. I already gave you a frame in that a wealthy nation needs wealthy individuals. So if you are here right now, I want you to know it's not coincidence. It is your software, your curiosity. How do I get ahead? That places you here having this conversation with us. At the end of it all, we want to expand the possibilities for you. How do we do that? You get your numbers. It becomes palpable. Even though you see your numbers, you need to have better conversations. But the conversations, the responsibility of you becoming richer is yours. So if by the end of this gathering, by the end of us talking tonight, you have permission to become wealthier, you had a posture to command your numbers, then we have done our job. That's where we are going. That's where the whole conversation is. The more people become wealthier in Australia, the better Australia as a nation becomes. I hope all of this is making sense.
No, perfect. And I loved even 2 weeks ago when we had the Prime Minister talking late afternoon, obviously about the crisis and all that. And you challenged the Treasurer and the Prime Minister to actually talk about the housing crisis and how we're going left and everybody going like, we need wealthier people, we need the wealthy nation. Go a little bit, dive into that.
Sure. Brother, the conversation is this. We are the wealthiest, the best country in the world, right? What all of this is bringing out now, what is happening right now, is the way in which we do taxation in this country, right? The politicians look at its people, and I think okay for people to pay tax, right? Because we have the police, we have hospitals, we have roads, we have all this infrastructure that is maintained by taxes. Got it. And yet, the world is going through a energy challenge. So are we going to go away from diesel, petrol, fossil fuels? Are we going into what now? When we look at Australia, we have oil, gas, uranium. Man, we are the country of the future. And you saw me challenging everybody to say, write to your whatever party you voted for. I don't care if we left, right, which, we're not waiting for the next government to come and fix it. This government is in the chair right now. So when we have conversations here tonight, we are going to focus on your personal journey. I understand already that you invited me here. We have a sequence of slides to take you watching your personal journey. And we're going to talk to you about your personal numbers, how you're going to end up. And yet, you live inside of the context called Australia. Now, we understand also that the media sells fear. Every night, a reporter comes on TV and says to you, good evening, and then gives you all the reasons why it's not a good evening, right? Fear, 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 fear. And we also are very aware the government, quote unquote, create problems, give you all the problems, all the fear, and then they come in and give you solutions for that. We're about to go through another one of those. Every single time that you are here right now, let me give you more frames. Every single time that the population of the world, of our nation goes into fear, be aware that an incredible amount of wealth will be transferred. There's so much money is going to move hands, and what our objective tonight is you put your hands up like this. Some, you will grab it. It will become yours. Tonight is about positioning, understanding, posture, right? And then act when you are aligned to act. That's
Perfect.
it.
Perfect. Love it. Great bridge. We're going into another video that I think it's important.
You're going to show that as well.
Sky News. Let's just play this
man.
one. I'll see you in a moment. Let's go. Boom.
Welcome back, Julio de Laffitte, who is the founder of the entrepreneurial movement called the Unstoppables. Now, when I first met Julio last year, he was in the planning stage of his expedition to Antarctica, along with the other 120 or so entrepreneurs he was taking with him. So tonight he's going to share how the experience actually stacked up and why he's preparing to do it again. Nothing like an expedition to really ignite the entrepreneurial spirit and drive new business ideas. A big task, a big ask,
Yes,
Julio.
Heidi. It was amazing. Heidi's like an incredible, one of the best experiences of my life. You imagine 110 people on a boat, 70% of them are personality A. They know better.
Yeah.
And then the facilitators are coming together and asking questions to bring out what are we supposed to do with the future of Australia.
I think I understand now. How do you have your internal software being that to ignite your journey? But tell me, how do you go from nothing to actually taking all of this amount of people to Antarctica? How does that happen?
Brother, look, it's really a part of observation. These kind of dialogues, when people show up into an event, they're having their lives and they show up here now, they're hanging out with us. The truth is, I'm just another guy. Just another guy. But in listening, sometimes you listen to one conversation that changes everything. So one of the conversations for me very early in Australia was that Australia is one of the easiest access to money on the planet. Even though money in Australia right now for Australians are getting tighter, in comparison to the rest of the world, we still extremely easy to get money. What's that mean, Julio? The moment I understood that, I said to myself, I'm going to get some of that money. The uninitiated will get that money to spend, go on a holiday, buy a boat. I got the money and I bought a house. The moment I bought that house started to grow in value and I put a debt reduction against that value. That equity became my personal beginning of my personal wealth. But the moment I put in the second property in there, you can imagine that within my personal expansion, and all of you that are here today, that's what this event is designed for, your personal expansion. You can start to see that one concept at a time, my conversations start to become better and better. And then I had insights into bringing into JDL strategies, education components. And I realized that there was a huge gap between the conversations the clients were having with their accountants. Because that conversation was based on what they knew. It's not the accountant's role to be your teacher on financial wealth. So we understood access to money. So we understood then investments, and we start teaching that like there's no tomorrow. So when people first came and became our clients here, right, we made an endeavor to empower them. Now that we're training the computer with AI, it becomes very clear that this is software. Some people carry the software for prosperity and some don't. People ask me all the time, can somebody become an entrepreneur? Are they born entrepreneurs? What's their story? No, man, it's all software. It's the moment in which you say to yourself, I will be richer. And it's not just about money, it's about life itself, right? Sure. So then what is happening here is JDL became a self-sustaining business. I was able to give JDL to the executives. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to start this other organization called the Unstoppables and hang out with entrepreneurs that, they are the ones that are really creating the future. Sure. And then every year ever since, we put this gatherings together where amazing business people get together and we have conversations about the future. which then consolidates even more you and I sitting here and talking about AI.
Comment prosper if you actually are in the right mindset. If you are already internalizing that software, please comment here. We want to see you perfect. I can see already a few. Thank you, guys. Before we actually go into it, we have our social media. So Julio de Laffitte on Instagram. You have JDL Strategies. You have tons of content to learn more in our YouTube channel as well. Mine is Diogo. Also through JDL Strategies on Instagram, you can get to both profiles. We have videos there. We're always collaborating. It's amazing. So it's a daily journey that we like to bring that positivity. As we said, it's about mindset. It's about how we actually engage this prosper country into a better country every day.
That's it.
No negativity, all positivity, and we go into it. So what we will deliver today, a personalized financial strategy tailored to your goals. AI-powered property investment insights via Wealth Goal, the platform we will talk very soon. Tax minimization strategies to keep more of your income in your pocket. And then that reduction plans to accelerate your financial freedom. And finally, an integrated system that works for you automatically. So that's all we've been working on. It's just automatically doing all of those patterns and working together. It's been thousands and thousands and thousands of families coming through. It's probably millions of points of data giving us the truth about your future.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into it. We'll focus on increasing your assets, decreasing your personal debt, and reducing your tax. And that's the full integrated solution. The great missing link is the ability to integrate investments with debt reduction and tax planning. So we'll focus on the full integration, as we said. If you actually, before I even say, what would you sing to your kids? Because Julia has 3.
Yes, guys. So I do sing a song to my kids. It will sing all of this. Again, I sang to them like they were little, and I used to sing that to them as they were going to bed. And it goes something like this. The more you invest, the less tax you pay. The less tax you pay, the more you drive your debt down. Now, they were kids. The funniest thing was when my daughter was around 3 and she would sing it. She would just sing it out. And I know that she didn't really comprehend the words of that. It was just like full memory, right? The more you invest, the less tax you pay. The less tax you pay, the more you drive your debt down. But this is pure software.
Perfect.
Yes.
This is the right frame into one of the best slides we have, which is the pain and the state of play, which I love the framing around this. A lot of people wouldn't understand, and we keep talking about the software and how we frame our mindset to actually make it work. And after tonight, you either postpone or you make it, you execute it.
Exactly.
And we're here to execute it for you because there's a lot of parts to moving parts. We have the accountant, we have the financials, we have the property sourcing, we have all of the parts together to make actually work for your profile, which is a customized. So I'd love to explore a little bit more. What's the pain that you see in families that do not actually execute?
When you guys come into the software and use your AI, there is a moment. It's called What's Possible Now. And we have no mercy. When we say we have no mercy, the software doesn't know who are you, your story, as emotions. It knows your numbers. But the software will tell you how much money you're wasting, your opportunity cost. That is pain that to most people, it's invisible, right? So imagine the software asks you 16 questions or so. You'll see all of it. But it will be able to tell you exactly how much money you throw it in the bin, off the table. Why? Because you're not looking at your numbers in the ways you should, right? And that is one way to look at the pain of the game. Another pain also that we notice is this. Whatever you buy tonight is at discount tomorrow. In the beginning of the presentation, Diogo said, Julio bought a house for $39,000, $39,800 to be exact. Now, there is another universe in which I feared, and I didn't do it. Because many years ago, $39,000 was a lot of money, Diogo. It was a lot of money. And to say to you, I was unafraid, it'd be a lie. I was young. It was a lot of money. I had to work 2 jobs. My wife, my ex-wife worked 1 job, and we lived off her income and saved all of mine to be able to do it. But had you said to me, Jules, when we'll meet you again, right, in 30 years from now, this property is going to be worth near $1 million. I wouldn't believe you. It would be insane. It would be like, what, from 40,000 to $1 million in 30 years? Like now, when properties turn 350,000, like around, some time ago, I went to videos and I talked about that. And you can find my old videos. I was skinny, I had hair, and I was saying to people, properties in Australia will be worth $1 million. And in no time at all. And people pushed back. I got so much pushback. People say, don't be ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. I want to say to you now, property will be worth $4 million, the average home, in no time at all. Now, we understand fully that the world may be through a currency change. We've seen this before, not only in our history, right? When it went from the English money into the Australian money, we already experienced that. But what happens normally is a nation may say, oh, we're having a change. We know we're going to a digital currency. And at those moments, they may chop a 0 or 2 zeros. So if a property is $1 million and they have a currency change, then they may name it, 100,000 new currency name, right? Yeah. I don't want to go into the details of that, but I want to say this to you, and intrinsically, whatever you buy tonight is at discount tomorrow. So we live in a world where a lot of people in their 40s, 50s, they come and say, I should have done this back then. I should have that. Tonight, you will know what's possible for you. No hard sell, no push. Your numbers have no feelings, right? You do. No more not knowing, no more pain.
That's it.
And you get the right frame in order to act.
Perfect. And obviously, majority of people, and we still do this every day, income equal expenses.
Yeah.
Right. And it's full on in our eyes when we get someone and we see how they live their lives and the powerful frame around how can you redo your whole financials to actually make it work.
You and I work with doctors, engineers, lawyers. We work with teachers. We work with carpenters. We work with people that all walks of life. And this is so aggressive. It's software that people carry. It's like this. You want 100 grand, you want to take it to 130. Why? Because I want to improve my lifestyle. So we see people matching their income to their expenses like to the dollar. We see people, it takes 3 minutes, 6 minutes for somebody to adjust their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Honey, we're going on holiday. What happened? I just got a pay rise. So they already spent the money, right? Somebody knows they're going to get a bonus. They're already upgrading the car.
That's it.
Matching their income to the expenses. The software for you to take home right now. Again, we have full videos about this on YouTube, right? The gold strategies, just go there and watch that. The truth is, we don't want you to have a zero-sum game as part of your life. We don't want that for you. Meaning, you lived your entire life, and then you finish it all with the majority of Australians that will have around $2.3 to $3 million, right, in assets, in super, because the government said, look, you're not going to be ready. We're going to create this conversation where your employer will pay a percentage of your salary into this thing called super. You don't even know how it's operating. And this is what you're going to retire on. So be very clear. You keep matching your income to your expenses, you will be running a very, very tight game. At the end of it all, you're going to have your home, a little bit of money, right, for you to exist, not to be prosperous. And most people will have to sell their own home, right? Your Aunt Geraldine didn't sell the house because it was too big for her to clean, as she told you. She sold it because she couldn't eat the walls. So you see, this is very, very common. People get into their 50s and their 60s, they sell the house, they buy a smaller apartment in order to get some cash out of that transaction. We do not have to have that in your future. And that's the beginning of this conversation.
It's all about the dream, right?
Yeah.
We call it about the Australian dream. And I guess back in the day was all about and all the framework from our grandparents. Buy your own white picket fence house, live with your family happily forever. Things have changed. Things have changed.
Yeah.
And now we have concepts like rent vesting, right?
Yes.
And obviously we need to talk about it because the earlier we recognize that you'll be in a better position to buy an investment property, because let's face it, for majority of people that live in, we can't forget that 85% of Australians are living in the bigger cities, right?
Yes.
That's it. So in the bigger cities, the stock is expensive. It's starting to be very expensive.
Yes.
Even when you compare investing at the same level as you are in the property that you are side by side, you'll be better off. So I'd love to go a little bit more into it because we have the numbers of the average Australian, and when we can compare of the average Australian that actually changed his mindset today, right? 46 years old, house of 900K, mortgage of around 600, less than 165 in super, and this person will have to sell once they retire, right?
Yeah.
This is the average Australian. So this is the default permission is to one day pay off the house.
Yes, guys, please notice now that you're talking to your best friend, you're talking to your cousin, you're talking to your boss, and you don't see it because we don't really talk about money in a meaningful way. The majority of people you know, they're trying to pay the house off. That's it. Their permission for wealth is to own the house they live in. That is indoctrination. So when you realize that the greatest Canadian dream is to own a home, the greatest English dream is to own a home, the greatest Brazilian dream, the greatest Australian dream is to own a home. Who said that? Like, where does that come from? Right? And was it your grandmother said to your mother that
Probably,
says to you?
probably.
Right?
I think so.
So what's actually happening? So it's this whole thing about security. Now, there's nothing wrong with security, but it is a great investigation on how to look at how numbers actually work for you. Again, I said to you, there's this other presentations I've done on YouTube. I just want to crunch now the slides here, okay? So somebody says to you, buy your own home. Let's just investigate that in concept first, and then we do the numbers when we go into the software, right? When we have the AI working for you, I'll promise you now, this AI will give you 10 hours worth of consulting in around 6 minutes. I want you to imagine an artificial intelligence that we have been working on for the last 30 years. Seriously, the know-how we picked up at 30 years, we put into a machine, and the machine does the cognitive processes, and you do the imagination. I hope this is making sense. So let's have a look at the reality that you borrowed 100 grand for a swimming pool. You walk into the bank and you say, hey, I want to borrow $100,000. Johnny at the bank punches the numbers and says to you, Diogo, $644 is the repayments. Most people make the full decision on borrowing the $100,000 on $644. That's my monthly repayment. Notice how people don't pull a calculator, they don't pull a spreadsheet. It's a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I can afford 644. It's important for you now to start putting the dots together in your mind. You work for money. Money working for you is a foreign concept. Now you want to borrow to buy your car, to buy your house. And if you had all your house already paid for, or you just want a renovation and you borrow 100 grand for a pool, and then the bank says to you 644, notice how most people you know inside of the hypnotic frame, they will make the decisions for that future or that loan on 644. If you have a look at this graph right now, please make a comment for me right now, okay? And by the way, those of you that I still have your cameras closed, would you open your camera? We want to say hi to you. Hey Andrew, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Look, what I want to say to you guys now. There's quite a few different people, guys. We can see the team is here with us right now, right? But help me out to just so you understand that there is code in all of this. How come in the first 10 years in this graph, this is the $100,000 loan represented in the graph, okay? And you see the repayments on the right. How come in the first 10 years, the graph is not coming down at all? Help me out, okay? Hey guys, tell me some of the answers are coming through. There it is, interest, okay? So what actually happens is if you follow the numbers here, you pay in the first year, you pay back $7,700, but you're good only for only $1,700 came down off your bill. 5 years later, you gave them $38,000, but you're good for 10. 10 years later, I'm serious. Let me explain this to you. If you were to add up all of your repayments, you would have given back the bank $77,000, but off your actual bill, you only cleared $23,000. And people go, hold on a second. What is going on? When you walk into the bank and you go, hey man, I gave you all this money. How come I'm only good for this much? That's when you're going to hear for the first time, and this is part of your education tonight, you will hear conversations or the compound of, you're paying you're paying the interest component first. You understand the word interest, you wrote it down before, but component. In other words, when a bank lends you money, in this case, $100,000, you understand that money has a price. So that is called the interest component. So in other words, when they lend you $100,000, they're going to charge you interest as the price of that money. But in the first 10 years, they're going to charge the most of the money you're paying is going into the interest component, not the principal. So you're paying the interest component. Because we don't understand the game, you tell me what most people do after being in their own home for 10 years. That's right. I'll tell you, like just for the sake of expediency, and those of you right now that this conversation is starting to get better and better and enrolling, I want you to call your accountant right now. Just send them the link for the Zoom you receive and ask them to come in.
Actually, Pedro can put the link in the comments in the chat.
Yeah.
Just go through the link just in case, copy paste.
Right, and just make sure that the links are coming through. Because guys, just watch this for a second. Let's just really talk about this for a moment, right? People, after living in their own home for 10 years, remember the software matching that come to their expenses? It's not spoken like this, but it happens in real life. The wife says to the husband says to the wife, let's buy a bigger house. Why? Because we can. Can what? We can afford a bigger repayment. So what you see is in the first 10 years, you're paying all this interest component, not a lot of the principal. And then in 10 years, what you do, you sell your house, and you buy a bigger one. When do you think that the mortgage starts in the new big house? Year zero.
From scratch.
We see this all the time. It's people choosing without knowing better. And I'm so glad you're here. I am so glad you're here. So you say, Julio, what should we do? Right? What should we do? Well, you do your financial wealth check. You have the AI working for you. By the time you pay back that mortgage in full, the $100,000, you pay back, all right? So you borrow $100,000, okay? Got it. To pay that $100,000 back, you will pay back $193,000. So 93 is the price across 25 to 30 years, the price I have borrowed that money. But that's how much you will pay back. Got it? Yeah. So to have $193,000 in your pocket, you got to earn 298, pay 104 in tax to have 193, and the only thing you meant to do is to borrow $100,000. So guys, get this, for every house you bought for yourself, You paid one for the government. What? Julio, what are you talking about? Guys, look at the numbers. You borrow 100 grand to pay the bank 193. Yep, because that's 100 plus the interest. Yep. You have to earn 298. Because you earned 298, you paid 104 in tax. So you paid 100 for the bank, you borrowed 100, you paid 100 in tax. So if your mortgage right now is $500,000, I want to invite you to multiply these numbers times 5. What do we know about you already? I'm so glad you're here, because if you have a mortgage for $500,000, baby, you're gonna have to earn, just do the numbers with me together. You're gonna multiply these numbers times 5. So you're gonna have to have here almost $1.5 million. You gotta earn and pay almost $500,000 in tax because you earn that. Give or take, I may be out 30, 40, 50 grand, but it's the concept. So if you're here tonight, I would like to say this to you. The reason why a moment ago we asked you to call your accountant is because priority number 1 for you is debt reduction. If you got nothing else out of this presentation tonight and you walked away from here with a sense, I'm not going to obey the bank. What? If the bank tells me that the repayments is $640 a week, pay $800. Always pay ahead. Why? Because that extra money is driving the principal down. Tonight, we're going to teach you a debt reduction strategy that will blow your mind. Actually go a little bit ahead so you see where we're going with this. When people say that you're going to get tax back, so imagine that you bought a property investment. Yep. Because you bought a property investment, you get back from the government, give or take, let's just say $15,000 back in tax. That $15,000 in your hot hand, if it goes into your mortgage, it's going off the principal. I am jumping ahead a little bit, but it's just to get you excited. So let me just make my point clearly. Strategy number 1, your debt has got to go, right? I tell you what, Diogo, Brad, me, the whole entire team here, Lais, Tatiani, you call it, all the names of the people involved in this spaceship called Medigrow, called JDL Strategies, right? Called Let's Go and Do This. We hate debt with a passion, but we love it because you can buy houses. Investment debt, very different than personal debt. Your personal debt has got to go. So we start the integration. Now you understand why I was singing to my daughter, the more you invest, the less tax you pay. The less tax you pay, the more you drive your debt down. The less debt you have, the more you invest. And this country is amazing because it gives you, all right, an environment where this is absolutely possible. But it's not possible to those that don't know. If you don't know it, you can't choose it. But the moment you know it, you say, oh my God, I want that. And this is why we step you through concepts by concepts, and then we give you an ultimate tool, an AI, that there will be no more dilly-dally. There will be no more not knowing. The AI that we are going to give you tonight is designed for you to share it with your accountant and go, hey, baby, let's do this. So number 1, debt reduction, right? That's the point I want to drive
That's the
here.
real Australian dream. I think that's the point of is the
pay
real
for
Australian
your house as fast as we can.
And the frame is very simple. Do you want to pay 3 houses and keep 1? Or do you want to actually buy 1 house where you have another 2 partners paying for you?
That's
for
exactly
your
right.
asset.
That's what we're
So
going.
that's the frame. So the main 4 reasons to invest in property for us is cash flow. So obviously, initially the first few years, you could even be putting a little bit, but you get not only tax back, in a few years, you'll have properties putting money in your pocket. Then the tax minimization, as we spoke about, get the negative gearing. It's something that actually it's been spoken about now in Parliament. There's a bit of a debate on that. We can dive into it a bit later, but the government actually gives you tax back once you have an asset.
What do you think would happen to rent?
I think the whole system will break.
No. I am asking a very specific question.
Rents will go up for sure.
Oh. So what
Affordability
happens,
will-
like, I want you to imagine every landlord in Australia. So they took negative gearing out. Oh, properties are going to crash. They're not going to crash. You know why properties in Australia will never crash? Because you see, 50% or more, around 52% of the houses in Australia are already paid for. People bought them years ago and they paid for. They have no debt against it. Huh? Yeah, so you got to look now as a nation. A bunch of individuals, oh, I have this mortgage, and now they took negative gearing out. Oh my God, I can't. And so that may be a panic style. So there's a panic style, but there's only a number of buyers, right? So let's just say there is a number of buyers, and people keep dropping the price. Buyers just start to activate and buy, and it comes to a point where the seller goes, it's not worth me selling. Like, I can't sell it, and banks may come in, and this is happening everywhere. The truth is, if I bought a property as an investment and I have two partners, the ATO and the tenant, you took one of my partners out. It's not a significant partner. It's not the most significant partner, but a partner nonetheless, right? All I got to do then is say, hi, I have to increase rent. And this is not news. Like, this is exactly how Europe works, how the United States work. How come the majority of Americans rent? Because they can't save for deposit.
Yeah.
Right? So here is the conversation. In the software, in a moment, we're going to show you two graphs with and without negative gearing. It's coming up. So we're going to show you that. What I want people to understand is this. Fear is only worth it if you don't know what you're doing. Then you just avoid it. But here, as I promised a moment ago, no more daily debt. I don't care how much people may say this, spin that, election this, election that. If you can't afford it, don't do it. If you can afford it, let's do it. So when we talk about cash flow, right, it's extremely important in your analysis. But there's another thing also called tax minimization. They cannot, Diogo, and this is key for people to understand. They cannot shut it down fully because, you see, every nation wants to give tax dispensation to industries that make the economy go. So if I want to direct money in an economy towards any industry, movies, we know that in Australia we get some great tax dispensations when we invest in movies. I'm not saying it's a good investment or bad investment. I'm just saying that the reason the governments do that is because they want the movie industry in Australia to flourish.
Yeah.
Right? So if they say tax minimization and they took it away from houses, well, are they going to take it from companies as well? From shares? And what happens if people stop investing in businesses? What happens to the economy at large? So this is not as simple, right, as people. Now, another factor here is, as a nation, we are very young on the title Australia, and people need to get these numbers. When you go for a walk around the place, every single piece you see is less. Every electrical post, every footpath, every supermarket, every street, every corner is less than 200 years old.
Oh, for sure.
And so what was it to do with me? Well, you were in a brand new country, brand new nation. There's been people here for a long time. I'm not talking about that at all, okay? I'm talking about a flag called Australia. Our current constitution is less than 200 years old. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now, you and me were not born here, but we call Australia home. When you understand that we're not producing enough babies, in only a matter of time, if we do not have people, the economy will collapse.
Correct.
So we still have to import people. It doesn't matter if it's the left or the right, and this. So it is a tight game politicians have got to play in order to have the numbers in check. So right now they say, oh, less people, because houses are going through the roof. Well, we just need to start producing the houses. But for us to catch up with the production, it's going to take 10 to 15 years.
Correct.
All right? And then in a moment from now, they're going to say, we need more people. Why? Because otherwise the economy will collapse. There's not enough people to run the economy.
Exactly.
Right? So these conversations. Now, nonetheless, I want to say something to you. Whatever you buy tonight is at discount tomorrow. We have designed the systems where you can work with your accountant and know. So when we have beautiful slides like this talking about cash flow, tax minimization, longevity, right, growth, these are the core pillars for understanding. But in a moment, your numbers will decide if you can do what you can do and when and how to do it.
For sure. So the Australian property market, as we said, and this is the big number, it's around the shortfall, but it's a $10 trillion market. Annual growth for the last 20 years, let's say between 7 and 8. But we even do our numbers conservative so you feel comfortable about it. That's something that we don't overpromise. But we know that new migrants, this is expected by 2025. But we have the numbers, and we know that we even say it goes to 80 million within the next 100 years. And if we think about generational wealth, because that's what we're talking about here today, it's not about buying a property and selling it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not about investing today to make a buck and leave. It's about leaving a legacy for your kids. So when you think about it, and sometimes we have parents, actually, this is one of the best ones, when we have parents at their 60s and they don't know what to do. And we say, grab your kids and do it together.
Do it together.
Do it together.
So parents have equity, kids have cash flow. See this number here, guys, on the left corner here says 1.1 million people in 2025. People go, yeah. This is significant to us. You know, I know, there is a significant housing shortage. It's on the media every single day. Every day. Now, we also know that affordability is an issue. So every single house, somebody owns it. It brings me a completely other dynamics, and we'll run it by you. If you want to be as rich as possible, you buy a few property investments. We'll have other partners paying for it. Ideal scene, and I'm just alluding to this now. The government says to you, hey, here's their first owner grant. Now, I already showed it to you that every single house you buy for yourself under your own name as your own house, you buy another one for the government in taxes. I just showed you that a moment ago. If you and I were meeting at the airport and you caught up with Diogo at a barbecue or party, or we were at an event, and you said, how do I get as rich as possible? I would say to you, buy one property investment, then buy the second one, buy the third one. Then you borrow against those three properties, and buy your own home. Have the three properties buy your house, not you. Now, we have written a whole book about this. It's called The Third Path. It's straight off the JBL website. Guys, we want you to prosper. So 1.1 million translates to 71,000 dwellings, okay? Structurally supply deficit, 71,000 homes not being built, compounding in the negative direction. Do you remember a few years ago when we had the cyclone that wiped out all our bananas in far north Queensland? Do you remember that? A cyclone came in, wiped out all the banana trees we had, and our imports were not efficient, and the prices of banana went through the roof? Same game. Houses are not being produced, properties are going to go through the roof. People will be stuck in renting, and those of you that have access to money. Now, you remember in the beginning of the presentation, I said, access to money is key. Diogo just mentioned something right now. If you can't do it, do it with your parents. If your parents are not willing to do it, do it with friends. The truth is, do it with a partner, do it with somebody. The truth is this, or you have money working for you, or you don't. Sorry, man. I get passionate, I get committed to the communication. Let's
definitely
go.
This is not only a compounding number, and it's also quite frustrating that we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, because we know this number, and from the politics side of things, there's no clear path for this.
That's right.
It's just we don't know if it will take 10 years, 20 years, whatever it takes, but definitely this is what we are working at the moment. So we hold all of these numbers just helping out all the information that we need. And
just to reiterate the point, like imagine Sydney have like every 100 houses you have one for rent. In Melbourne, one. So what is saying to you, the vacancy rates in percentages are very straightforward. So if you're saying 1% vacancy rate, that means 100 houses in a street for rent, one is available. Okay? So if you go down to Perth, 0.6. So in other words, you need almost 180 properties to have one available for rent. What do you think is going to happen to rent? To the rent prices? What do you think is going to happen to the value of houses, right? And that's why we're saying to people now, we designed a strategy the other day where 4 friends came together. They all in their 30s. They all had an average of $50,000 cash saved. We put them together. We bought a property for them. We designed a debt reduction strategy for them. And the whole idea is to create equity in the first property so that the next move they will make is they have a deposit to start their own individual chain reaction. Does it make sense? Yeah.
Oh, I love that framing, and it goes back into integration, because it's not only about giving you one strategy and just going along, it's finding the right solution for you. So if you are single and you have no way you could do it by yourself, we align you or with your parents or with your friends, and that's another strategy. If you are a family with 3 kids, it's a totally different strategy, and that has all to do with that reduction, tax planning, if you have mortgage, if you don't. So the integration of the services we provide, it's actually the full picture and the right strategy for you. Alrighty, now I think, Julio, it's the time for action. Actually, we've been talking a lot. It's very exciting, but we need to show everyone out there at home, wherever you are, a case study.
Yeah.
So I'll pass it on to you. We have this amazing case study. Let's go, financial wealth check, and I'll pass the computer to you. Let's show to those at home what this means, our software.
Diogo, thank you so much. Because when we started talking about speaking in Parliament, cover CEO magazine, this is the legacy of my work. This is the legacy of us being JDL Strategists. We wanted to create a system that you at home, no one is pushing anything, no one is trying to sell you anything. We want you to just do your life. Now, your life really is about numbers. Some of the numbers we think about is time for this meeting, our age, our weight. You know, what we're going to do now is I want to show you a software. I'm about to deliver 10 hours worth of consulting in less than 10 minutes. Why? Because we brought an integration into this software that you put in your numbers in, right? And the software is going to give you 3 timelines. Let me just show you rather than talk about it. So his case study, his name is Case, surname Study, right? He was born in 1996, cool. He's on $196,000. So what the system is doing is this. We have over 5,000 clients. So our language model understands how most people match their income to the expenses, how they invest, and so on. This is designed for you to share with your accountant, and never again you will be lost. So most of you right now, you notice like this, we start to lean into what is possible. Most of you now are having insights like you never had before. So this guy shows up, that's his age, he's on $196,000. The software already knows the tax he's paying, right? He's an Australian citizen, he is married, right? His wife is on $112,000. Okay, so we know their income, we know what's happening for them. They have 1 baby, right? A 3-year-old baby, right? And then what is actually happening now is how much do they have saved now? So the software is just available. This is his income, that's her income, date of birth. Date of birth gives you normal cycles, right? By when you're gonna have your own home, or you have children, not have children. It starts doing all sorts of different mathematics, all in the background. But look how beautiful this is. They have $12,000 worth of shares. So by noticing that they have 12 grand in shares, you already notice inside of them a little desire to get ahead. So they have a little investment of 12 grand towards their shares, right? The credit card limits is 5,000 and they can save $600 a week. This number here, $600 a week they can save, it's almost a question like this. How much are you prepared to put towards your future, right? So between the two of them, they said, oh, well, we have a child. Yeah, we could put away $300 each. So $600 a week, we're going to put into the kitty towards our future. The software already understood that. And when would you like to retire? Oh, well, I'd like to retire in 25 years from now. Okay, everything being equal, if you in the future, 25 years from now, your child be 28, out of your hands. If you had a second child, probably both of them out of your hands now, your house paid for, how much money would you like to live on? And they say, well, we would like to live on 250 grand. Okay. So you're going to create some wealth right now between now and the future, right? And then from that wealth, we want to pull 250 grand a year to live our lives. Now, Diogo, I want to give everybody watching here, outside of the software, this is a very, very strong moment. Again, guys, if you haven't called your accountant, we're not joking. If you haven't called your accountant yet, or your financial planner, or your spouse is not in this meeting, I want to invite them to come. If making the right decisions for you to get ahead in life is important, this is it. Let me give you some very adult conversations that people are having in their 50s. What? Yeah. They never had it before their 50th birthday. They're having in their 55th birthday. What? An adult conversation? They've been an adult for all these years and they never had it? We see it all the time. How rich do you want to be? So when somebody tells us that they would like to retire on 250 grand, let me give you some sums. And for those of you that are watching this for the first time, write it down, take it to memory, take it to heart. For every $50,000 you want to retire on, you need to create $1 million worth of assets. So these guys may know this, may not know this. But the moment you sit with me, Diogo, any of the client managers here, you say, I want to retire 250 grand. We imagine, you need to accumulate $5 million worth of assets outside of your home. Now, most people, $5 million. If you think you're going to save $5 million, you already lost. It's impossible, I guess, to save $5 million, put it away. You have to invest. This is when this gets fascinating, interesting, important. Nonetheless, the software does not know them. We just know they are in their 30s, right? That's their income. They have $92,000 in super, not a lot. They can save $600 a week, and they wanted to retire 250 grand. At this point right now, well, where we are with the software right now is this. Let me just put in a couple of more pieces here for you, okay? And what I want to show you now is this. These guys right now, we're going to watch how easy this is. They own their own home, okay? And we're going to say, what's the value of your own home? Now, in our world, your own home is not an investment. But we already talked about this enough that most people's wealth is inside of their own home. So we're just going to say that these guys own a house for $980,000, okay? And they owe, the debt on this house right now is $540,000. This is actually real client that we were talking about, change their name, so you can actually see this at play, right? The software is so powerful that if you put in the address of your own home, or the home you own right now, the software will tell you right now the value of your house. Like right now, as you come in and you start playing with this, it is amazing. Now, if I press this button now, check what just happened. So because I'm in teaching mode, explaining mode, things may take a little longer, but the truth is, no one is trying to sell you anything, push anything. And when I said to you a moment ago that this is designed for you to share with your accountant, all you got to do is to share this link above here with your accountant. He will have access to this. Check this out. When you live your life, if you have money in property, the software is imagining at this point in time the property is performing at 5%. You and I know that if we do a research, Australia-wide should be 7.6. That's what Diogo meant. We are conservative. So if you have money in property, we imagine property will perform at 5%. So no one is flogging property to you. We're just being conservative. Why? Because inflation sits around 4%, so property is going to perform at 1% above inflation. If you have money in the bank, it will be performing at 1%. Right. If you have money in super, 5. But Julio, my super is performing at 8. Is that before fees or after fees? 8, no problemo. Come in here and change it to 8. Boom. It will now imagine your superannuation performing at 8% per annum, compounding between now and retirement, right? So when you see all of this, they want to retire in 25 years from now, and they want to retire 250 grand. We already know that. So what happens right now is it created the first tab called Continue as Is. So what do we know about them? They have a child, they have good money, they match their income to their expenses. Yep. So they will be just paying their own home off. If we arrive in the future, they will have 3.3 million. You can actually see the wealth creation here, the ascension here. But if they were to retire with 3.3 million, I'm not going to wait for you to ask me, hold on a second, is this already took care of inflation? Yes, it does. Check this out. In 25 years from now, they would need $693,000 to buy the goods and services that tonight would cost them 250 grand. And if they did that, they would literally run out of money in 5 years.
And we like to make the joke, as long as they die before those 5 years, everything is fine.
That's right, if they die before. So what people do when they realize that these are the numbers, check this out, this is what they got to do. I told you, numbers have no feelings. Look how powerful this is. You are at home, managing not only your expectations, but your wealth creation. This is just your as is. Nothing changes. So people come in and they put, I can't retire 250 grand because then I run out of money too soon. What if I put it down to 150? Okay. And then they say, what would happen if I then didn't retire in 25 years, but 30 years? You see now the trends when governments say you got to retire at 67, you got to work for 30 to 40 years in your life. Do you understand the conditioning? Do you understand the software now in most people as a society? The fact that you are here, the fact we're playing with the software right now changes everything for you, because you get to see that I don't have to wait 25 years to see what's going to land. We're knowing it now. Check this out now. I just play recalculate. Man, I love this conversation. Recalculate. And then so if you're sitting right now with your spouse and you go, babe, see how now it went from 5 years to 8 years. Why? Because these people worked for their money. When you look here at these conversations, net investment property, 0. They never bought a property investment. It's an impact. Got it. Savings. They would have almost $2 million worth of savings if they saved $600 every week between now and retirement. It's a significant amount. Great if they did, but ain't going to be enough. Their superannuation, 2.5. And then when you put the cursor here, the $150,000 will be $500,000 that they need to spend in 30 years. There is nowhere to escape. These are your numbers. So when you have a look at this conversation, you go, whoa, come with me now and press possible now. Look how beautiful this is. The software now is already looking at them and say, well, we can see a version of you that can invest. Yeah, yeah. And if you do, and if you don't, this number here is called the opportunity cost. So the software create a version of them that just lives as your people just like, oh, push the can down the road. Kick the can down the road. Don't need to make a decision today. Every week that they wait, they burn $6,000. Julia, what $6,000 is that? They're not writing a check to $6,000. This is the tax deduction they're not getting. This is the growth they're not getting. This is the return on the investments they're not getting, and equates to $6,000 a week. This is why we designed this whole thing based in a conversation that is public. It's now in writing. These guys, watch this little green piece here. This means they can buy a property investment. Every green box means a property investment. If you come here now and you go, oh, beautiful. If these guys bought one single property investment right now, it jumps from 5 years to 12 years. No way. Yes way. Yes way. No. Yeah, man. One property. Why? Look at this. Net investment property. By buying one property now and holding it, so they would be buying it for $680,000. And if that property was to perform for 5% per annum, by the time they retire, that property will be worth $3 million. Oh, now this is when this becomes highly interesting. Check this out. If I go right here and I do a quick analysis on it, remember we're talking about the whole thing about negative gearing? Check this out. If these guys were to buy this property investment, the amount of tax they're paying right now, they have two partners, the tenant. So the tenant, by giving them rent, will give them $30,000. Can you see all of this here? I'm going to focus on the right now. So the tenant would give them $30,000 a year in rent. The tax man would give them $19,000 in tax benefits. Right. So if they collected all the money from the tenant and all the money from the ATO, the property becomes cash flow neutral, meaning the two partners pay for the asset in full and they own the asset in full. If the property costs them $20 a week, $30 a week, the property will be negatively geared $30 a week. You get that? So if it was negatively geared $30 a week, it's $1,500 a year to deliver you $3 million in retirement. Whoa. Now, we're not going to sit here and wait for you to ask us the question, what if they take away negative gearing? This, every single time that you see politicians coming in and talking about changing negative gearing, what they're saying is this: you're going to get less money here. Okay? So if they allow you to deduct less, if they say to you, you can't do it, no, we want to cut to the chase right now and take it out. Let's make it zero. Let's make it zero. What? Well, this conversation called negative gearing happens in Australia, New Zealand. Most countries in the world, the only partner you have is the tenant. And you will have to put all of it yourself. Now, be clear. We are very clear that for the last 30 years, people have been talking about they're going to change negative gearing, change. Paul Keating did it, and then he had to put it back. Now, there's a bunch of conversations now about capital gains tax and so on. We are unafraid. Check this out. If they had to do it, the property cost them $381 a week. The tenant would put all this, they would have to contribute $381 a week. Well, they said they could save $600. Well, that means it can be done. Now, when you come into the pipeline, to the process, and we here now, it's called a case study. But when you do your own, that's why we designed the system, so you can share with your accountant, financial advisor, with your broker. You design, share with whoever you want. We want you to have clarity like never before. Show you something else that people ask us all the time. And you can see my passion. I've been doing this for a long time. When I started, I was skinny and I had hair, right? And this guy gives me a hard time, tells me all the time that I'm old. I'm proud. I've been doing this for a long time. You see my passion. Let me show you something. I'm not gonna wait for you to ask me, what if? What if what? Or what if interest rates go up? What if the house doesn't rent? Software is already done. Check this out. What if interest rates go up to 7.5%? All the calculations are still here, inside a budget. What if the house didn't rent? For how long? 2 months. It's already here. So what happens in this conversation called Just Do Life, JDL strategies, is you get absolutely empowered. So this is just the first property. If I go back here now, check this out, 2 graphs, okay? What if this software was designed to work with you, your accountant, your life? We can already map out, check this out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, 6 properties. Now you get the notion of what our business is. Right now, you're just hanging in with us digitally. Make no mistake, if you become a client of JDL, you become family. There's a lot of people going to the market saying all sorts of nonsense. The truth is, you start to get the basis of our business. What is it? The richer you become, the richer you become. The richer you become, the more you return. So what do you think we would do to make sure that you buy all this property through us? First and foremost, we teach you everything. So that's how does JDL operate? We have clients right now. Diogo has clients right now buying the 4th property. Not number 1, not number 2, and what we do, this is what the chain reaction is. We're always calibrated to maximize the tax return, okay? And then a tax return goes back in. We keep clearing the debt. For this couple right now, target number 1 is to clear the debt in their own home. Like, we're gonna do that aggressively. So we already know they can do 1 property, a couple of years later, they can buy another one. A few years later, they can buy it. So we can already map it out. But this is if property is performing at 5%. What if property performs at 7%? What if rents go up? This is an extremely conservative, and they already know if they had a portfolio plan, they're gonna go to $14 million, and it takes them 21 years to get rid of all that money. Now, there's a few more things I can go into. Let me show you this. When people start to look at this, they go, oh, I love it. Can I talk to my accountant? Sure. That's why I want your accountant here from the beginning. Because when people realize that JDL has been doing this for 30 years, and because of this very work, I've been invited to Parliament. The piece here is certainty. Your numbers have no feelings. You do. I don't want you to buy a house if you can't afford it. But if you can afford it, you don't do it. For this couple, the burning opportunity sits at $6,000 per week. You can start to see now this whole thing coming together. Now, let me show you something really, really powerful here, okay? If we go here now and we have a look now at the property analysis, if you said to Diogo, oh, can I go talk to my accountant? Let's see what he says. Sure, you can book the meeting, go to your account, and say, oh, I had this seminar, I heard this idea, this guy called Julia, blah, blah, blah. Dude, it is done. It's done. This guy's not just good looking. It is done. Check this out. It's all done. So you can see here in 2026, this couple bought a property for $680,000. The estimation construction cost. This is what the deduction will be based upon. The total cost, we already budgeted for stamp duty, solicitor's fees, cancel rates, insurances. We budget for everything. Then when we come in here, we go, that's the estimated debt. Here, we already know, check this out. He is going to save $10,500. She is going to save, so it's almost 20 grand. $20,000 they're going to get back from the ATO. If you've been hanging out with us from the beginning, you already know we're going to put this 20 grand into their mortgage. So that's $200,000 coming off their mortgage in the next decade just because they've been strategic. This is just beautiful. So guys, just to finish this little moment for us inside of the software now, okay? If we were here on 150 grand and we put it back to 30 years, now that they have a plan, what we could do here now is actually retire them earlier. What if they only retire in 20 years? Recalculate. The beauty of this software is you get to see where you're going. There is no more not knowing in your life. If we were to go chain reaction here, and you compare, let me actually just compare all the numbers so you get really clear. There's a function in the software, you can see all the profiles all at once. Check this out. There is a significant distinction between as is, so here we go, this is continue as is, possible now, the chain reaction. They end up with 2.3 million if they're just operating like their cousins, parents, and people that do not know. And they were to retire on 150 grand a year, they would run out of money in 6 years. If they were just bought one property now, it takes from 6 to 10. But if they were to do a chain reaction, it's go from 6 to 14. Now, I want to say this to you. The software also assumes that on the day of retirement, you sell everything, put everything in cash. What we would suggest is you talk to a financial advisor, and then at the end of it all, you live off your super. You go to a pension phase. This is what we see our clients do. You go to a pension phase, you live off your super. Once you're living off super, your capital gains tax will be very reduced. Yeah. You may sell one house or two, clear the debt on the others, and you live off them forever. So this money goes into infinity, right? Now, as Diogo said just a moment ago, horses for courses, right? And this is how powerful this software is. And the truth is, we had a huge number of people registering from being here tonight. And many of them, last moment, duality, the hypnosis took care of them, and they are not here, but you are, right? So if we go back to the AI presentation. So guys, this was case study number 1, right? But here comes the purpose of this whole event, powered by AI JDL. This is the legacy we're talking about, right? What I want you to know is that you don't have to wait for years to know your future. You will know your future now. No more not knowing. So right now, what I want you to do is this. This is the moment in which, imagine if we gave you this software. Imagine if you had this power. Imagine if you had this power in your hands. No one's at your house trying to push you anything. You could play with your numbers like never before. Okay? This is the purpose of our business. But this is what we live for, right? So right now, Pedro, can you put the link back in? Make sure that everybody's got the link. Guys, all that's going to happen right now on your Zoom, the link is going to come to. I want you to copy that link, put it in your browser, and we're going to do it together, okay? So this is what's going to happen now is I'm going to go here, and I am going to do this with you. We're going to do it together, right? So, Bob, my surname is Anderson. So I'm going to make this up, and we're doing it together right now, okay? Bob and at and.com.au, right? My phone number is 0403 699908. Okay, let's go. You're gonna get in right now. You're gonna receive an email. Okay, now you're in. So guys, please understand, inside of the software, we have a half of an accountant, half of a lawyer, half of a financial planner, like all this integrated, 30 years at your disposal right now, okay? So how old are you? 48. Okay, household income. Now, in household income, you're gonna add up your income, and if you have partnered up, you're gonna put your partner's number as well together. So combined income right now is 289. Okay, how much do I have saved right now? I got $23,000 saved right now. My total in my super around 290,000. Okay, money I don't have any shares. Personal debt outside the home, I don't have any. Yes, I am in a de facto relationship. We can save $400 a week. This is how powerful this is. It's already profiling all sorts of things. I want to retire in 16 years from now. I would like with the equivalent of $145,000 a year is what I want to retire on. Yes, I do have my own home. My own home is $892,000. Okay, my debt against my home is $234,000. I don't have any property investments. Here we go. Now, if you have property investments, let's just say you had 2 property investments. That question is very simple. It's the total value of your property. So let's just say across the 2 properties, 1.5 million, right? And the total that $500,000. So it's 1.5 million worth of properties, $500,000 worth of debt. Cool. We're in. So if I keep going the way I am, here we go, no mercy. I know I got 6 years and I have accumulated 1.6 million. So I'll run out of money if I was to spend the equivalent of 145 in 16 years due to inflation, will be worth 282, okay? Now you see, it may be repetition of what I just showed you a moment ago, but this right now is you going through. Now, Pedro is gonna put the link there before. I can tell right now, some of you are just watching. This is tonight is the end of you not knowing. This is ends tonight. Once you come in, you can share this with your accountant. We have noticed that around 20% of people that come to our event, it's give or take 20, sometimes 19, sometimes 21, right? 20% of people do nothing, you just sit there. Another 20% of people come into the software and do not put in the numbers. But the people that actually Pareto rule works in both directions. Those of you that tonight know where you land, I just want you to understand that in a moment from now, you will know how rich you can be. If the software triggered for you, didn't trigger for you, I would love my team to make connections with you so you get to a position. They say, if it hasn't triggered tonight, it will trigger tomorrow. I promise you, okay? If it's triggered tonight already and you did not know, that means that your numbers are begging for attention. Check this out. This person can do 4 property investments, okay? Be significantly better off, right? If I was to then compare all the different outcomes, okay? Before I go here, let me just do a quick analysis right now because I want to cut to the chase. The insight of tonight, okay? For $22 of commitment per week, $22 per week, okay? Now I'll take you here. So let's just say that these guys, right, were prepared to put the $22. They have the tenant, they have the ATO, they have to put in $22 per week. Here is the difference. Without a strategy, you would retire on 1.6 million if this was your numbers. You take your numbers and your story, add $22 a week, start executing your chain reaction, you end up with $3.5 million. Welcome to Australia. Welcome to the best country in the world. And if you do not know this, then you operate here. By knowing this, then you operate here. So I can see some of you, we can see the numbers here on the screen. Some of you are starting to come in. We'll wait for you, okay? Put your numbers in. Put it as accurate as possible. So you start having better conversations with your accountant tomorrow. Somebody on my team will reach out to you because this is our business model. The richer you become, the more you become our client. You start to see the possibilities of all of it. It is like without mercy. Now, I want to be very clear with you. It's very common for us when people say, I saw your presentation 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Then what happened? Oh, and they always have a reason for why they didn't execute. From our point of view, that is pure software. When I say to you now that as a company, we created over 2,400 multimillionaires, this is the system. So right now, you're a potential client. The moment in which you are our client, we will teach you everything we know. There'll be questions you'll be asking us, Diogo, me, in 2 years from now that you cannot formulate, right? You cannot formulate tonight. So you are very clear that this is how we run. I want to introduce you to Jonathan, okay? He bought a property from us in 2019 in New South Wales, okay? He began at 549. The property now has grown to 780. So you know that this property is going to buy another property. You already know. What I love about his story is for $67 a week, okay? $9,500 is coming off his mortgage straight into principal, right? So this just one tiny little property, right, will clear his mortgage. By the way, his mortgage is already not far from being finished. So we're going to clear the mortgage on his house. By now, when he gets his second property, it will increase his tax deductions. It will increase the speed in which we pay his house off. You start to see the model here. Now, here's Steven. Okay, 2021, bought a property for $631,000. The property now sits at $880,000. You see that our business is repeat business. The only way you will buy property number 5 with us is if we never failed you in property number 4. And this is what gives us sustenance. That's why we've been in business for 3 decades. One client at a time, a client for life. Okay? So for him, $21,000 coming back. We're going to save 8.3 years worth of time in his mortgage repayments, right? And the cost for him to hold his properties is $112 a week. So I can give you start to see the pattern of how we operate, what we do, and how we do things, right? He's Harry and Rachel, right? Now, again, begun, has grown to, total growth, tax analysis. We're going to buy the 4th property, and then the 5th property. Keeps going. Look at this, $320,000 coming off that mortgage in the next decade, just because. By the way, the moment we pay the house off, we'll start paying the next property investment off, right? Now, this is what Diogo's here. Diogo has an incredible team underneath him to integrate your solutions. And yes, we will work closely with your accountant, financial advisor, your partner, even your mother-in-law. She wants to have an opinion, we'll help out. No, it's serious, because this week we had a couple that says, we need to run this by my mother-in-law. I said, come on in. It happens. It really happens, right? There's nothing we have not seen.
One of the beauties about us as a whole, as a company, as a team that works along your side, is that we don't look at you just as one transaction. This is fully a family, and it's about the legacy that we talked about before. What does that mean? That the first part of all we see during the whole journey is finance. So we definitely assess your finance, and you don't need just a mortgage broker to. Actually, our software does it straight away. Actually, our software does it straight away. But through actually our software, we access multiple, we could say 80 plus lenders, 100, whatever it needs to be to get you the money. But that's not the point. The point is that the 2 phases that are coming up next, they actually care about the journey and the strategy, right? So as a client manager here, and what we love to see is that we look at you holistically. What is your goal? Where are you at? And then the models that we run in a second meeting that we usually do, it's actually going through all your possibilities. You are the owner of your own journey,
Yes.
and we give you the tools to do that.
Yeah.
So this, as we always say, everyone knows a good broker. But
yes.
what is an excellent broker?
Hey man, I often, when people come at these conversations now, and they have this, normally at this point in time, people go, oh, my broker, my mortgage, my this. Guys, take a photo, take a screenshot, take a photo of this right now. If you never became our clients, ever, but this became DNA for you in your inner core as a person, Australia will be better off. If you do choose to become our client, this is exactly what we're going to execute. So the distinction between a good broker and an excellent broker, everybody knows a good broker. Oh, Jimmy can get you the money. Ann can get you the money. Everybody knows a good broker. We're not interested. We couldn't care less. We want an excellent broker. On the right here, take a photo of this, and if you don't become our client, show this to your broker and you say, this is what you want. Say, this is what we want. If your broker doesn't understand this, that's a red flag. Big time, right? If you become with us, this is the basis you get. On the left, this is the protocol for wealth. Houses that buy houses, houses that buy everything else. So the cash flow positive, when your house is going to cash flow positive, so let's just say your house makes $100 a week. You could buy $100 a week in shares. You could put $100 a week into crypto. Whatever is your fancy. You could put $100 a week into your super. Okay, you can do it. So houses that buy houses, houses that buy everything else, and then underneath it you have finance with a debt reduction strategy, integrating the whole lot, right? So we hear it all the time. Another thing I want you to know, from where we sit as a company, I can send you training where we have trained. Every single person in the room is an accountant. So JDL is known for training accounting firms to help the clients to create wealth. I'm not saying your accountant doesn't know. That's not what I am saying. I am very clearly saying that your accountant's job is somewhat not directly related to your wealth creation. That is your responsibility. And that's what Diogo was saying. It is on you how rich you're going to be. Nonetheless, we will talk to you, talk to your accountant, train your accountant on the fundamentals of wealth creation, right? We do the same for brokers. We allow many brokers to own access to our software, because the last thing we need is anyone to say the numbers don't work. The numbers work and they become yours, okay? So that thing on the side is, see how the offset account strategy saves you thousands. If you do not have a debt reduction strategy, we got an issue, okay? So now, I want you to know that our broking team has won awards. They are some of the best. And some of you right now, all I want you to do is to have a look at your finances. Interest rates are going up again. And if all you need is a finance analysis, all you need to do right now on the screen, on Zoom, just write, I want it. And we will give you a finance appraisal immediately, right? Property sourcing. What I want you to know from us as a business is we do not sell properties. If you imagine after all of this that we want to sell you a property investment, please don't become our clients. Let me explain to you seriously how it works. First is you, then the strategy, and number 3 is the property. I want you to be very clear. We don't do crappy properties. We just don't, okay? Because if I failed you on property number 4, you're not coming for property number 5. Every single property that we select for you. So I want you to understand that JDL for 30 years been buying properties Australia-wide. There is no developers in Australia that don't know about us. We have done $8 billion in real estate. And we're talking about when properties were 300 grand, right? $8 billion in, we know a couple of things about property investments, right? We will teach you everything we know. Remember I said that a moment ago. So when you look at our selection criteria, every single property has to pass the 40-point checklist, okay? Every single one of them. And we provide you with deep analysis and deep research. Why? Because we need to borrow against property number 2 to buy property number 3, property number 3. So we don't do crappy houses for the sake of commissions, right? We work with you. So somebody on the team will call you to book an appointment, right, to see what's possible. You may be wondering if we only hire good-looking people.
I think we do for Pedro out there. He's laughing.
Right? But guys, I want to say to you, thank to our team. There is a bunch of very, very sharp people working in here, making it all happen. Everybody's seriously committed. Get the part? Seriously committed that you will have results in your life, right? Diogo, this is me. Like, this is my contribution as a guest to your event, brother. I love being here.
Julio, thank you for your obviously amount of knowledge, the sharing. I think everything was really, really important. All the dots we went through, but the most interesting part is about to come. We'd love you to comment for any questions you might have. We will dedicate half an hour, up to an half an hour.
Absolutely, let's do a Q&A.
Just to that Q&A.
Yeah.
Time to drop those comments. I think, Pedro, you actually have a few questions. I'll just get you the paper, and we'll definitely. So, we see a few people. Yeah, keep going. We need to have a few questions that we go through, and I'm really, really, really interested in seeing what people are thinking about here tonight.
Yeah, let's do that.
And we're going through it.